Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Really Charlie podcast here. Today's guest is a very impressive person, Ayanna Parrent. I love what she's doing. You know, and one of my favorite things is she's a wellness type person and she's really doing her thing. So, with um, with that said, good morning, and my guest is Ayanna Parrent. How you
Hi,
doing?
thanks for having me.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, is that screen good? Good with
Yes,
you?
good.
Oh,
Yeah, I love
okay.
it.
All right. Good. Get your smiling face in the background. You
Yeah,
got
I
your tongue
know.
becoming free. So we're ready. Definitely
We're
ready.
ready. Yeah.
Um, so um, let me start off by really being truthful. I started reading your book,
Oh, good.
and I was very impressed. Initially, without putting all the stories out in the book. You this let me see. There's a part where you talk about being at the train station
Yeah.
and waiting for the trains, and that inspired a poem. So once I get that done, I'm gonna send it to you.
Oh
Um,
my
and
gosh. I'm
yeah,
so honored. How cool is that?
yeah. So we gotta. I'll send that to you once it's done. And but and I get that inspiration from a lot of the guests. Um, but what I'm so amazed is that you can write this book, and the stories in this book are just got me involved. I mean, I'm nonstop reading it, and what I find is that so many local artists, local authors, have so many great books and great stories, and they're getting underestimated by other people. We're sending money to people that are across the country we don't even know. We're buying their books, we're making them rich,
Right.
and then I'm like, okay, so I read that book and I'm saying, well, man, Ayana's book was wow, just as good as this, and maybe even better. And I'm like,
I've heard that.
yeah. So I'm like, why is she needs to be the best, bestseller, best novel, and stuff like that. So I'm very impressed with you, and you
Well,
inspired
thank
me.
you.
Um, I guess I had Lucy Catino. I read her book, Bella Montero, Custodio
Yeah.
Coombs, all these people that have been on the podcast. And, the best thing about your book is that um, I'll be able to put that on my shelves. There'll be a hard copy right here. Right now, I'm reading on the Kindle,
Yeah.
but I want the hardcover so it can go on my book. So, but look, we got our first comment here, and then we're gonna go into your bio. Says, "Good
Okay.
morning, cousin Charlie. You are the best. Awesome, man.
Oh,
Good thing."
how
So
sweet.
let's talk about Ayanna Parent, and give us a bio about you, and then we'll
Sure.
go into different things.
Sounds good. So my current title is I'm the owner and founder and CEO of Be Free Wellness Inc. We just became a nonprofit organization, and that was really just to help people to be able to afford the amazing services that the studio and the staff are able to offer. Um, but the backstory is what the book sort of talks about is, I've been a social worker for a really long time. I have an LICSW, and that is really hard. I was feeling really burnt out. And a lot of things happened in my life, and I don't want to give it all away because it's in the book, but I did experience trauma. My mom was an addict herself. I'm a person in recovery now. So the book really walks you through how I sort of went from a place of really horrible despair to like really beautiful place. That's what we talk about it as freedom, because the book sort of walks you through how I got there. So the
Yep.
whole point of the book really was to let people know that if they're struggling with anything. So our studio talks about, we're all recovering from something, whether it's addiction or food. It could be any kind of substance or any kind of anything, even trauma. People really struggle with getting that free from that, or mental health, mental illness. And so, yeah. The studio that I have now is was born out of the way that I learned how to really heal and help myself.
That's
That's the
awesome.
short version.
Yeah, it's the one thing I notice is that the insurances that we can use, it's the common insurances to kind of get involved in with your programs that you have at Be Free Wellness, and
Hmm.
I caught that, and I'm like, wow. I said that's good, and definitely would have been good for guys like me, anyone good,
Anyone really? Yeah.
that I can just use my insurance card and kind of go see you and
Sure.
and kind of get taught about being well, getting better, and so on and so forth. So um, before we go into your program, I want to go reflect back to your book.
Sure.
It was writing the book. Some kind of was it a solution for you? Was it that kind of event? Um, as I call it when I'm writing, I have a tempo sensation. I got to write.
Mm.
So, and that's what my books do for me. Was you know,
Oh yeah. So everyone asked me like how long. So it took about like 2 years. And it could have taken shorter. However, there's pieces in there that were pretty hard to write about. And so I had to take a lot of breaks just for myself. So part of it was really hard, but part of it was really healing. So when I was able to put the words on paper and then look at them and then just be like, okay, like it's going to be out there. And then I just want to share the information with the world because I feel like everybody has a story and sometimes they're just so afraid to share it, but when you share it, it really helps somebody else. It can really change their whole outlook on life. So it was hard to write, but I knew I had to get the first one, so there'll be more. I had to get the first one out sort of as the context of who I was, so
hmm
that as we sort of evolve with the future books that really teach you how to do these things, that the story will be there, and the story really is for people to understand and learn. But also, it was certainly a healing process for me, and I did it with a wonderful editor. And sometimes editors come in at the end of books. She
hmm
really did it along with me, which made a huge difference. So I was able to write pieces, send it to her, and then we would actually sit down and talk about them together, which is almost like it was therapeutic in that way. Because she was able to ask me like, how do you want people to really hear this? So it was really great.
Yeah, it's that's nice to hear because I've made some mistakes with my books, and when the biggest mistake that I made was editor. I didn't get one. I was kind of relying on the PC to do everything, and
Yeah, it's hard.
it avoids. I mean, the PC misses so many opportunities, and I see it later on, especially when I'm reading the hardcover and the paperback, and I'm saying, wow, that's a mistake right there. That's another mistake, and you and so getting an editor is very very important, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you did that.
Yeah, and getting the right one, I would say, like lots of people have editors that just swoop in at the end and like don't really like not that they don't care, but they're not taking your story really authentically. And my editor was really, really thoughtful, and so I think there's a difference there.
Yeah,
So, and I would say shop around for editors. Like, don't just take the first one that comes out. Like, you are in charge of your book and your story. So, people are like, oh my gosh, this editor, this publisher wants to work with me. Which is great, but you really want to make sure that you are being authentic and true to who's going to really represent your story the best.
yeah, it's so true. The uh, I can't wait to finish your book, only
Oh,
because
good.
I'm able. I can kind of give you a nice critique, um,
Yeah.
and then actually let you know where it helped me because I already know that it's going to help me with some things that I deal with.
Oh,
So
good. I'm so glad to hear that.
yeah, the so you have for one, you have a friend, you have a fan, and anything you do,
Back at ya. I'm a big fan of you.
Thank you.
Really, Charlie? See, I got it in.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I was like, where am I going to slide it in? There we go.
I love it. See, that was perfect.
Oh
The
my
um, I I just when you started, maybe this your group, your wellness group, right?
God.
Um, that I believe, I'm assuming this was all part of your process for healing, yourself, and then reaching out to others, having that outreach with others. Um, and the training, the class, the dancing, the yoga, all that stuff. I can understand why you do it, only from some personal experiences with some of my friends. I have a
Yeah.
I have a close friend that he would run, you know,
Mm-hmm.
runs marathons, and that's what kept him. That was part of his healing process.
Right. Yep.
And the better he got with running the marathon, it was a better way of him healing. So, you
Right.
um, so let's talk about someone reaching out to you. Here I am, a man. I'm reaching out to you. I want to get involved with yoga, Zoom classes. How do you start off that initial process?
Yeah, so we the studio is actually located in Harwichport, so that's where we do all the actual classes. The people can certainly reach out to me, and for the coaching piece, the one that I wrote, the 3 month model, which is a little different than therapy. So people, that's going to be a different experience for folks because what I was finding that sitting across from somebody just for an hour without moving your body wasn't actually getting the emotions out of your body. They were actually getting more stuck in the body. So it's almost sometimes when you're telling really traumatic stories and you're telling them over and over again, you can re-traumatize yourself. And you don't know that in your mind because you're stuck in your body. So that's where all the subconscious stuff lives. When people get really sick and they don't know why, a lot of times it's because they haven't dealt with something emotional. And that's where people end up finding me and then finding a lot of success where they wouldn't in just a regular clinical setting of a therapist. So, and I also see a lot of like first responders and veterans and folks or women with domestic violence. So it's really hard to talk about those deep issues right away. And with Be Free, with my program, you don't have to. So once they call, I do like an initial assessment, which is I don't really go deep. What I do is kind of identify what the issues are and then how they're really affecting your current functioning.
Hmm.
So all I would need to know really is that you've had trauma, you've been in whatever situation that it is, what you feel comfortable telling me. But if you can tell once you start to tell the story that some of that stuff right away you'll feel a reaction in your body. We don't want that right away. So we just get a feel for what the person is dealing with. And then we design, myself and my coaches, a 3 month model that would work for whatever it is that they're dealing with to help them to manage those actual either triggers or pieces that they really are overwhelmed with. Like basically you're walking away with a pretty intense, amazing toolbox after working with us.
Awesome. Your team looks, quite interesting. Looks like, the smile on their faces definitely tell a story that,
Yeah.
they're involved, or they're have some empathy for the people that are in front of them. Um, and in this case, probably their colleagues. You all probably went through something. You got to be there for each other. Um, so we got to that. That's the coaching part.
Yep.
What about the diversity and equity services? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I started a group called Love and Revolution, and it was a Facebook group, but grew really fast just to be able to, particularly out of the fallout of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all those things. Obviously, racism has been going on for a really long time, but it felt like the community and the Cape Cod community particularly needed a place to be able to talk about stuff and understand it and to really wrestle with what it means to have white privilege and how to not feel guilt and how to have conversations cross-racially and hear people. So I started that group, and that's been really incredible in terms of being able to share resources and talk with each other. And that sort of sparked different ways in which my organization now can offer workshops. And my favorite is trauma healing for BIPOC folks. So really creating spaces in which we're going to be able to offer sort of yoga specific and healing circles to help people really release racial trauma. So I do that on an individual basis now, but we just actually wrote a grant to be able to expand it to get it larger so that we can service the community at large.
Good. So, we talked offline, and I mentioned about your husband.
That guy.
That I love that energy. So
he's so funny.
You might have to pay him. You might have to pay him
Charlie.
I'm sorry.
He's watching.
Yeah, see that?
I'm just kidding. I'd love to pay him.
Yeah, definitely. You got a good partner on your side, and
I do. I am very, very fortunate.
Yeah, so maybe he should write a book about being your partner.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I look, funny. There's a lot of dark parts that no, he can write a book. It would be actually interesting. I was thinking about doing a podcast with him just from the perspective of somebody that doesn't have an addiction and how what it's like to be in a relationship with, because everyone, I'm sure, at some point has dealt with that. So who knows? Maybe more to come. Maybe you can have both of us on.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes it just being around someone, you don't know what's going on with them, and
right.
and talking about it is good. It's good.
Exactly.
So, but I may need you to talk to my wife, because
I'm happy to.
Because we have reason why we have the Really Charlie podcast is stuff that I do through to her, and she may be going through some trauma just being my spouse.
I'm happy to talk to her.
Give her some royalties to the Really Charlie.
Yes, she needs some royalties. Let's give her some. Yeah. I'll give her some swag to start from Be Free. How about that?
Okay.
We'll start there.
She's listening too, so. So now the wellness group, Be Free. It looks like it's going to cause. It needs you to be dedicated and loyal to it. How's your flexibility with the services that you provide to everyone, and actually, your full-time job? How do you work all this out?
Oh my God, you're talking about balance. Look at you. That's like the hardest thing. So most recently, since we went nonprofit, we're able to apply for grants, which is just wonderful. And so that is allowing me to, I just hired a grant writer and an administrative assistant, which has been huge. And so I've also added a coaching training. So since I designed the model, I have to train people on how to do it with other people. So we'll have 8 graduates in June. Which instead of doing all of this by myself, I'll have 8 staff that can then share the Be Free model with either communities, or they could come to the studio and do it. They can go to healthcare centers, they can go to recovery centers, and they're sort of going to be out there bringing Be Free to the community. So that's a really big step for us in June. I'm very excited. And I don't have to do this by myself anymore. I've done it for a really long time, and so balance was huge. So once I got to the max, probably right before COVID, I had to sort of make some shifts and to figure out how to get some capital in here and how to really get some other bodies that can do the work.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You got to delegate, especially when there's a strong need for this.
There is such a strong need. Yeah.
And so when you have a strong need, you have a strong, you just have so much more to do. You got to reach someone. You don't want to turn anybody away.
Exactly.
because a moment you turn them away could be a moment that becomes tragic. God forbid.
Yes,
Try not,
exactly.
you don't want that. But
Right. Yeah.
um, now, you see, without your family and your daughter, I only know of one daughter.
Yep,
Um,
I have one daughter and two stepsons.
I love. I think they have a story. I'm just thinking. I'm just. This is what I'm assuming from the outside. I think they have another story for your
Sure.
family. You know,
Totally.
and so hopefully kind of do that. That could be a great story in itself.
Yeah, that was one of the really beautiful gifts of sobriety was really getting sober as they were sort of coming right into their teen years. So our relationship really changed in a beautiful way. So I was really lucky at the timing of that. So we have really great relationships and they're just wonderful young men
Yeah.
now.
So I'm definitely going to sneak in and see you when we're on our road trip
Oh
headed
yeah,
out.
come visit me. You and your
We're gonna,
wife.
yeah, we're gonna go
Come
see you.
on down.
And I'll I can't wait.
We'll have a
Uh,
barbecue.
yeah, we have a we have a lot of mutual friends and family.
Oh good.
That's I can't wait to get to know you guys a little bit better.
Yeah, that
Um,
would be fun.
there's was is there we don't want to put your whole book up out there. We want people to come, to buy it, purchase it, get a first hand.
Sure.
What's one particular story that kind of stands out? That's it may not be your favorite. It could be your most inspirational. I mean, but is there one story that you can share with us?
Yeah. So the my favorite story is so when I was trying to get sober, I went to rehab and then I got discharged and I was sober for 6 months, but I was not happy. I was very disgruntled, angry, pissed off. I was like, well, I'm just not drinking, and it wasn't in the healing yet. So I relapsed and I went back to detox, and I remember going to detox and being so excited. And who on earth would be excited going to detox? Not many people. But something clicked that was different than the first time. I was like, and I was in the middle of yoga teacher training. And so I was so excited that I had found yoga and I was in the middle of yoga teacher training and they were going to let me back and I could tell them what happened. And, but I started teaching yoga to people in detox. And imagine the bodies, right, that are so disgruntled, that have been on the streets for a really long time, that are doing, IV drug users. We're talking heroin users. We're talking people that have really damaged their bodies. And I'm in here because I just felt like I had finally found a gift that shifted the way that I looked at recovery. And so that was just one of my favorite memories is just doing yoga with them and them crying through it and them screaming through it and some of them just laughing through it, right? And I still get letters now from people that were like, I'm sober because you did yoga with me in detox. And that was, it's a hospital setting. It's a very different place to try to do yoga, but I think that was one of my best memories just from being in my recovery journey. That was one of my greatest memories. And I never forgot it. And it sort of was a catalyst for why I opened my studio. Cause I'm like, people really need to know how to move and they need to find joy and they need to experience it together. And no matter how sad or horrible you feel, like you could be at your lowest point in detox and still be laughing because we're moving together. So it was sort of the tipping point where I was like, aha, I'm going to bring this to other people.
That's it. This is it. It's that aha moment, and
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. I noticed on your blog, which we didn't mention, but you have a blog,
I
and
do.
that that the one thing about the blog was actually seeing those handwriting praises or reviews of you, and I like that. I like that people are still writing.
Yeah, it's so
You know,
cool.
and when you're reading that, it becomes personable, and they're taking their time. They're actually adding a little thing, maybe a smiley face or a heart or something that you can
Yeah,
get that visual, that lucid, clear, lucid what they're trying to tell you, and that's
Yeah.
what I like about handwriting. And I didn't know about your blog until um, just a few moments ago, before we got on, and I said, "Look at that! I missed something." And you, so you have so many things to offer, and
There's a lot, yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna what I'm gonna do is later on I'm gonna put that blog, a link to it, on the Really Charlie group,
Oh, awesome.
that we
Thank you
have
so
on
much.
Facebook,
Yeah, I
because
just joined. I'm in there now.
it's awesome. The praises that you got. So that this tells you that you're doing a good job. You're on the right path, uh,
Yeah.
and I want you to continue to do what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Um, and let's see, what can we talk about right now? All right, you tell me something. What do you want to talk about right now?
Well, my favorite thing to talk about is breath.
All right,
You
yeah,
up for that?
yeah, I'm up for that. You know,
So people get a little shy when I say like movement and mindfulness. When we talk about that, they're like, I can't meditate, and that's not my thing. And I think that's people shy away from that a little bit. But I always want to just talk about breath because I think it's one of the most important things about wellness that people don't understand that you can access at any time. Because I think one of the things that people struggle with, like, say, if you are having like a mental health episode, like you have a depressive episode, if you're having anxiety or you're triggered and you want to drink or you want to use, right? There's that window of time before you actually get to somebody. So, there's that window of time before you call somebody and they answer the phone, before you drive to a meeting. And we really talk about that if you are in those moments, you have a beautiful window of time to just use your breath, which actually will shift the sort of chemical thought pattern in the brain, which would then reverse what's going on. So it's so simple by just taking a deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth and then counting through 5 on the exhale and just doing that a few times while any of that stuff is going on. And it shifts everything in your body because the breath is really the one thing the body knows that can keep it safe. So like when everyone is having a panic attack, they're like, breathe, right? It's so hard to do that when you're having a panic attack. But if you teach someone how to inhale and exhale slowly as they're having the panic attack, right? And to focus on keeping them in the present moment. So focusing on having their feet on the ground, feeling their body in a chair, right? So anything that's going to ground you to the present moment is what will actually make the body recognize that it's safe in that space and time. So that is so key that I just wanted to. That's like my favorite thing, right? When we talk about breath is love notes for the body. If there's one way for people to really start to communicate to themselves that they love themselves, is just through breath. And it can be 5 to 10 minutes a day. It doesn't even have to be that long. I
hmm
always tell people that are first starting out, like if you're sitting at a red light, take long, slow, deep inhales and exhales until the light turns green. It's like
exactly.
magic. It's like magic. Honestly, breath is like magic. So it's like my favorite thing to talk about. So thanks for asking.
It's like an abracadabra.
It's like magic, and it's like
That's right.
it's so accessible that people
Uh,
don't know. Like you don't actually have to call. You don't. I mean, you can call people when you're struggling, and that you should reach out for help. But you also have to teach your body how to start to rely on itself to know that it actually has the power to shift and change, and so that you're not in this moment of like hopelessness or helplessness. You have control over the moment. You don't have control over of how you're feeling in the moment of any of that, but you certainly do have control over the breath and bringing yourself into the moment. And then you can start to sort of shift the thoughts of telling yourself you're okay, you're going to get through this. And then by that time, you got somebody else on the phone that's going to help you.
that's it. Calm yourself down in
Yeah.
5, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Definitely calm you
Yeah.
down. Yep.
And
And
then
if
always shoulder shakes and stuff like
yeah,
that are always good.
yeah. I got a personal coach, and I put his name in the comment section. Marvin Speller.
Oh,
It's Coach M100, and he talks about using the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he tells me that, when we meet on a weekly basis. And
Yeah.
so, and it's very nice that another professional like you is mentioning that. Um, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Like teaching people to just be in the present moment is more powerful than anything because as humans, we worry so much, we get so stressed out. But worry is sort of just like something that we're freaking out about that we don't know is going to happen. So it's actually pointless. All it does is stress the body out. The body's like, why are you doing that to me? We don't know if that horrible thing's going to happen or not, right? We're kind of creating it. So the breath lets the body know that we're just in a state of worry, but we're actually okay in this moment. So it's really powerful.
The we you know with trauma, it also becomes fear. And we're going to go back to what's
Yes.
how do you teach somebody from going from fear to fearless, like you have on your wall there? How do you teach that?
um, so this is going to sound crazy, but everyone, just try it on. We talk about fear in terms of it not being real. What? I know. So it's sort of like if you think about in the present moment. So if you were to ask me, like right now, if I'm afraid, and if I said yes, you'd be like, okay. I mean, so what that means is we really have to understand what is going on in the present moment. Like, is there something that you need to be afraid about in this present moment? Most of the time, no. So we talk about fear as something that's not real, that the mind makes up that's connected to worry.
Hmm.
Right. So once you really, that's why being in the present moment is so important. And that's how through breath and mindfulness that you can start to actually tune into like what's actually real in that moment. So fear's not real. I mean, it is in terms of, so say, you're in a car accident or something and you're in that moment, that's real, right? There's a reason to be afraid.
Yes.
Most of the time, what's happening with trauma, though, is that you're identifying something that happened in the past, and it's not in this present moment. So if you can teach people that, then they can start to unlearn what fear actually is, right? And then they can work with how to create places in their mind, body, and spirit that feel more powerful and more independent and have control over fear. Because sometimes when you're afraid, you feel like out of control.
Yes.
And all the mind and body stuff is just asking you to come back into the present moment to be in control so that you know that you're okay. And then you're free.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this. Get your website on here.
Oh, okay.
I've been slacking as a host. I should have did this a long time ago,
Oh, it's all right.
but I want people to reach out and review. Uh, I want them to review your website. Um, lot of information right there.
Yeah, there's a lot on the website. Oh, you got it. Perfect.
Yeah. So um, the the I want to go back to the book. I
Sure.
you can get it through Amazon,
Yep.
um, and I have the link on my group. So I'm trying to make sure that I get that out there. But
Yeah,
what
you
I
can
want,
purchase it through the website too.
okay, all right, perfect. Um, you plan on doing any book signings once we can? Is that
Yeah, I
something?
actually have a bunch booked for the spring on Cape outside, so that it's a little easier for people to feel comfortable just because COVID. So there'll be some at the West End restaurant. If I could remember the date, I don't know, but we'll post them all on our social media, so they'll be all available. Yeah, so there's about 4 coming up in the spring at different locations.
I'm gonna definitely go to
Oh
one.
yeah, I'll send them to you. You can come to one of those.
Yeah, I definitely. In fact, that's what I'll do. I'll wait until then to purchase the
Yeah,
hard.
so I think the West End in Hyannis is on the 18th, and it's a Sunday afternoon, and they have an amazing brunch. And my friend Jen Villa owns it. So if you come to brunch, and then you can come to the book sign, it'd be great. And
Yeah,
everybody else too.
yeah. So you made my day. Definitely made Michelle's day. Because we're going to the Cape, so we all are doing
Yay.
put some gas in the car and end up
Come
venturing
on
down.
down. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. So I'll search your page so I can put that book signing on the Really Charlie group, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, we're gonna make sure we get people down there. Actually, I added I added a few more of my groups on the destination for this podcast,
Oh,
so
okay.
we're gonna be able to reach out to some more people and go from there.
Sounds great.
How did you pick your team? How did that come about? With Be Free. How did
Oh, for
you?
the staff and the coaches, you mean?
Yeah, was it something that I mean, I think everybody kind of goes through trauma, but they had did they when you mentioned you write your book about becoming free, were they kind of in that criteria? You needed that type of person to be with you to kind of have some empathy or something like that. Was that part of your selection process with your fine group?
Sort of. What's cool about the coaching program is because I have an LICSW and all these other trainings that I can supervise them, that they don't have to necessarily be trained in all that stuff because the training actually teaches all of it. So it teaches sort of the social work piece, the movement piece, the yoga piece, the breath piece. So they get all of that on graduation. So the people that I selected were actually people that had sort of been through something, like you said, and came out on the other side. So they really understood what how important these issues are, and really were invested in learning about themselves and then being able to teach that to somebody else. So it was more about the willingness and the honesty and the commitment and the enthusiasm and the passion than anything else.
Yeah, it's it's and that's very important because you may have someone that's at your doorstep or that's saying, what have you been through?
Right. How do you like?
Um,
How do you know? How do you
yeah,
understand?
um,
Yeah.
you never drink alcohol in your life. You never tried. You never used a coping mechanism or never used a drug for a coping mechanism or something to help you out or you thought that was helping you out. You never did that. So how are you going to help me? How are you
Right.
going to help
Exactly.
me go through what I'm going through? And
Exactly.
so it's good to have some people with some real track records.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm very 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 happy to hear that. Um, you know, it's one thing with my past career. People are telling me, what do you know? What do you know? How can
Yeah.
you try to help out my problem when you never been poor? Oh, wait a minute. Before
Mm,
I got here, I was poor. You know,
right.
Single mom trying to raise two boys, then eventually three boys. It takes a lot. So I
It takes
understand
a
where.
lot. Yeah. And taking care of yourself goes out the window in some of those cases, particularly when you don't have economic means and you don't, you're just scrapping by to feed your family and feed your children and, survive. Coming to a wellness studio seems like out of the way, like that's way down the road.
Yeah,
But I want to tell people that I created the nonprofit for those folks. So, um, you know, those are the people we're looking to help because they need it more than anyone. And that's where you'll see like disease really start to come in is when you're working so hard just to survive, but you're not taking care of yourself. That kind of stuff stays in your body, and that's when you start to get sick, and then you end up in the hospital, and you end up with all these horrific bills, and nobody wants more economic horribleness. Horribleness is a
yeah,
really fancy word, but you know what I mean. You don't want to make the situation worse. You want to make it better. So, and you want to feel good for your kids and for yourself. And Be Free's here to help. And even we don't do financial um, training per se, but we can help people figure out how to slow down enough to be in an okay space and to take care of themselves, which naturally sort of other things come from that. And a lot of times it's just better opportunities and things and resources. So, yeah,
Yeah,
taking care of yourself has a lot of benefits.
exactly. Because trauma doesn't just affect the poor; it affects the rich. It's wide
Yes,
open.
yes, everybody. It's a free
Yeah,
for all,
and
that trauma.
you can have a house with you can have a house or home on 10 acres, and the house looks beautiful, but there's only one single person in that house going through
Right,
a lot of experiences, going, where they have everything around them, but they have no one to listen to them.
right,
So,
exactly.
uh, and I, uh, I just I love wellness. I love it. I love it. I love it. And
Yay.
thanks to previous guests, like Tara's podcast. Um,
Yeah, she's so great. I'm on the board for Amplify.
yeah. Oh, see that. Awesome. You know,
Yeah, so great.
and through your podcast, I want to add another guest. So, what I want to ask you is,
Sure.
who do you want to see on a Really Charlie podcast?
Oh my gosh,
Have-
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't know.
All right.
I'll get back
Well,
to
you're
you.
gonna.
I'll get back to you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna post
Yeah.
and tag.
Sure. And then, I mean, probably, the list is abundant. You could probably get a big
Well, I
list.
have so many. I'm like, yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So
I'll send
you
you lots of
figure it out.
people.
Yeah. And lots are better. We got
Yeah,
365 days in a year, and guess what? I got to plug in, someone once, twice, three times, four times, sometimes, like this past week, it was 7 times a week.
yeah, you're so
So
busy. I'm
I
impressed.
got to do it. Got to do
So good.
it. Yeah. You know, the podcasting has been good to me, and I'm enjoying it. And, I don't have a big budget, but it's not
Right.
about budget. It's about interacting and communicating with people and trying to tell those educational, inspirational stories.
Mm,
And even at point, we talk sports. We get off. We talk about sports. I may talk about just a bunch of guys, or in some cases girls getting together and just rapping, just talking. You know,
yeah.
uh, and so um,
Cool.
let's see. So I hope I'm doing you some justice with this
You
podcast.
totally are.
Really,
It's been amazing.
yeah. And if
It's
there's
wonderful.
anything I can do, this could be officially your podcast. If you're not doing it yourself,
Yep.
I want to welcome you on at any time, any place,
Thank you so
uh,
much.
no matter what event it is. I definitely want to get you on board. Um, and I will see you at the book signing.
Yay, sounds good.
So, what do we what do you, look, we got this is good. And actually, this is another good person that I hope to speak to eventually. Um, Anna, I'm very impressed with her.
Hi, Anna.
Anna's loving the broadcast, and I love it. But that's another person into fitness, into wellness. She's
Oh,
definitely,
good.
you know, I see a few things on her page,
I'm
and
trying to look at her picture. She's got guns, yeah?
yeah, she's ready. She's ready. I need. I may talk to her. I need a little. Well, I have a little sister that can fight my battles for me, but I need another little sister. Anna's got the guns. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
take her. Yeah, good job, Anna. I hope your wellness is good. Obviously, it is, and I got to talk to you and get you on a Really Charlie podcast
Oh, do
eventually.
it.
So BeFreeWell.com is
Yeah.
definitely a great website, great source resources, and the one thing it offers is Ayanna Parrent. This
Yeah.
woman will have some empathy for you, will give you
Of
some
course.
very intellect and educational advice. You listen to her, you reach out to her, and she also has a great book. So my
Yeah.
my new friend, my
Yes.
new
My
my new
buddy.
friend.
Now you're my
Yeah,
buddy. Be careful what you wish
that's
for.
it. That's all right. That's all right. All I can do is make you say "really, Charlie." So I'm
Really, Charlie? Really?
yeah.
We're gonna be doing that all day. I'm gonna
That's
tape my
it.
husband doing it, so because he's been
Yeah,
doing it all morning, all
yeah,
week
yeah. Well,
actually, all week.
we're gonna we're gonna get that so we can get you part of the introduction of the Really Charlie
Okay,
podcast.
good.
All
Awesome.
right, this has been great for me. And is there anything you want to conclude with?
No,
You
just
know,
thanks for people for listening, and grab the book if you want, and come visit, and yeah, come take a class if you're here, especially in the summer. If people are here in the summer, just come on down.
awesome. Can't wait to see you guys this month and or coming month, and it's gonna be great. Can,
Yeah.
feel free post anything on the Really Charlie group. You
Oh,
can
okay, cool.
post anything, tag me, or if you post it on your profile, just tag
I'll
me, and
tag
then
you.
what
Yeah.
I'm gonna obviously just grab it. I'm gonna share it, and I'm gonna try to highlight you as much as possible, and
Thank
um,
you.
and also keep in contact with you.
Yeah, I would love that.
All right, give the hubby a high five,
I
and
will. He's
and
gonna be so excited.
yeah, he should be. He did a great job,
Oh, good.
and also you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
So,
Back at you.
Ayanna Parrent, you get 5 stars today from me.
Woo!
I
That means a
really love what.
lot.
That's it. And keep in touch, please.
Will do.
All right.
All
Awesome.
right. Thank
All
you.
right. Take care. You have a
You
great day.
too. You
All
too.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Awesome guest. Ayanna Parent, you can't beat. I talked about it in the podcast. This is a educated person, a person with empathy that's gonna actually know what she knows what she's talking about. She has some life skills. She that will first understand what you're going through. Second, give you some solutions to what you're going through, and eventually get you to the point where you're fearless and you're able to kind of go through life without any hesitation. You're gonna actually just be that person that's gonna get over what you're going through. And if you slip and fall while you're trying to go through it, guess what? You have a contact. You have a contact and a parent. You have a contact with becoming free and the coaching, everything. You have it there. So reach out to this woman, reach out to her program, her group, read her book, get a better understanding of what you're going through, what she went through. And hey, maybe we can get you on here to say, really, Charlie, in ending, mask those beautiful faces, hand sanitize, wash your hands, be safe. Be safe, everyone. And feel free to get in touch with me through email, reallycharliepodcast@gmail.com, or just send me an inbox. You can definitely get in touch with me through the inbox on Facebook. Love you guys, and I'm always here for you to get these podcasts up. So take care. God bless. Enjoy your weekend.